In this section, we're going to cover the people and places that your visitors can visit. So we have the business directory, which is the businesses that your visitors work for, your approved visitors, which could be all of your visitors, or you can have it so that you can only let approved visitors access the system, and your site contacts. So these are the people that your visitors will meet with. If you're using it to track sites rather than people being visited, then this terminology would change to sites, and you can set up, for example, if you're a builder and you had people or staff visiting multiple building sites, then you can set up the different sites and force them to only select from that list of sites if that was the case. So we look at the first one, which is the site contacts. So in here I can set up the people that could be visited, or as I said, they could be the location. So this could be a location such as a building site. It could be that you are visiting a particular meeting room or a particular building. It's whatever the terminology is that suits your business. In here, if I add one, it's simple to add. So I would put in the name of the site contact or the name of the site, the email address for the site contact or the person managing that site, same with the contact phone number. And if you're using our instant messaging tool, Telegram, you would put in the Telegram ID. Now, we'll come back to that in a future video because it takes a bit to go through the process of knowing how that will work, and I won't address that now. So that's the simple way to add them manually. Now, if you don't preset them up and the visitor arrives, puts in the name of the person that they are visiting or the site that they are visiting, then the system will update that data. You also have the ability to import this data. So there is a template that you can download, which is basically a CSV file or spreadsheet, and then you can upload that data straight into the system if you want to, or you can manually add it one at a time. So that's the site contact or sites. The next option we have is approved visitors. So again, the approved visitor list is everyone who visits your business, so that when they go back into the application on their phone, it will remember them and it'll bring up their details such as their email address, name and phone number automatically. It can also be a list of the approved visitors if you are restricting the use of the application to a specific group of people, i.e. your staff and no one else, then you can switch that option on so that only certain people can use the application. So in here, if I look at Steve Smith, so we know Steve's name, we know Steve's email address, and again, I can manually load these in or let the application that will learn the data from visitors actually visiting. The contact phone number for this person, what type of visitor they are. So you can have visitor, you can have employee, and you can have courier drop-off at the moment. So a visitor will be presented with the health and safety messaging and the questions, etc. An employee doesn't have to be presented with that information. So if they are an internal employee and you don't want to be asking them the questions about COVID-19 every time they come to work, then you can make them an employee and they'll get a different interface when they're using the application on their phone. And then the third one is courier drop-off. So these two, if you've got check-in, check-out turned on, will both be asked to check in and out. The third option is for someone who is just turning up and you don't need to know how long they were there. So if they're set to that mode, when they come in and they scan the QR code, they simply check in and that's all they have to do. So that's the three options. We've also got the ability here to actually approve a visitor for a certain period of time. So if, for example, you have a building site where your visitors have to go through some sort of process, such as a site approval or a site safe check or some sort of induction, you can put in an expiry date here so that if they try to check in after the expiry date, the application will stop them because they are no longer current with their authentication or rules that you have set in place about that. If that's not important to you, then the system will default to 2099, which means that everyone coming in will be allowed to check in and they won't be stopped by the system. So again, like the site contacts, this information will be learned from people using the application and it will be built up over time automatically. But if you wanted to upload a list of previously approved people, so that means when they come and check in, they put in their email address, the system will know who they are and it will populate their name and phone number for them. So you've got a template here which you can upload all your expected or pre-approved visitors if that's the case. So it's really simple that it'll learn from its own application on the phone, or you can preload that data on your own prior to that happening. And the final option here is the business directory. So again, if you are asking the visitor who they work for, this information is automatically populated by the visitors coming to your site and saying who they work for. If they type in a name that's in the list, so for example, if in the phone application they typed ABC, they would be given a list of all of the companies that are already known called ABC something, and that will populate the smartphone screen. If it's something that the system doesn't recognize, then it will automatically add them to this list. So it'll add the company, and then you can put in a key email address for those people and a contact phone if you want to. You don't have to do that. It will be quite happy to not have that detail, but obviously if you want to know who the key contact is at that company, that it would be useful to put in the email address and contact number in case you need to let someone other than the visitor know that something had happened or there was some issue that you needed to address. So again, you can import or you can add the data one record at a time. So those are the three options you can set up. Now, to set up any of these options, as I said earlier, then the application will automatically update the database just from the visitor's input, and then you can go back and edit, add, change that as you see fit.